Hello everyone, welcome back to Seasoned Professional. My name is Hannah Octavia and I am here today with the lovely Emma Forbes. Welcome.
Thank you, Hannah. It's been, thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm
very excited.
I'm excited too. Perhaps you can just give a little bit of a rundown of what you do today, who you are. Give me the
Okay, so
idea.
I moved to Hove about 7 years ago, and I've been specialising. I was a nurse before, and a CBT therapist, accredited for about 17, 18 years, and specialising in OCD for about 4 years in my private practice, which was sort of like almost like a side hustle when I knew I was coming to the end of my NHS career, and I was sort of building that up. So I feel very privileged to be working with people with OCD. I absolutely love it, and I do that part-time.
Amazing. Lovely. And then, I'm not sure if you want to talk about it, but you're doing a very exciting thing right now with your running.
Yeah.
Would you like to share?
I'm in the middle of doing something called the Super Half 6 series, which sounds a bit sad, but basically it's 6 half marathons which are across Europe. I've done 3 this year, and I'm going to do the final 3 next year. That's the aim.
Wow.
Prague and Berlin are going to be back to back on consecutive days.
Oh,
so
like
that's
one after the other.
Yeah, so that's the new challenge, is to get the endurance in rather than the speed. So this year I was kind of like gunning for a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get there. It was a lot of sweat and hard work through the summer to do that, but I just thought I want to see that number again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love running. It's a big plus for my mental health and my well-being. Yeah, and only recently discovered it again since I kind of moved here.
Interesting. So have you just like recently picked up running, or have you been running your entire life?
On and off through the years, but never ever saw myself as a sporty person. I was the kid that kind of didn't get picked in the line and hated what we call PE at school. And it's only since the kind of perimenopause hit, thinking, what's happening to my body? What's happening to my energy? Thinking, okay, right, I'm going to try and take some control and just, do what I can with this, really. So that was the kind of impetus, I suppose, yeah. And then there was about 6 months of thinking, I can't go home, got the right shoes. I can't go home, got the right sports bra. Lots of reasons. It's raining, it's a Monday.
It's dark out.
It's dark. I'm not going to.
It's cold.
But no, I love it now.
So yeah, I guess that'll transition us nicely into your childhood. You mentioned that you weren't, the first pick for sports. You weren't the first pick for these things. What did you excel at when you were a child?
Oh, crikey. I think I was always arty and creative, and I loved reading. I spent a lot of time on my own. So, and I'm an only child, so, reading was my world. Your imagination just runs riot. That was that was very important to me. But I loved drawing, and I sort of drew for a young age, and would make little do things like play schools with my teddies or things like that, or kind of like a little hospital or something, kind of imagination, creative games,
And only child. Did you live with your mum and dad? What was the dynamic like?
So mum and dad until I was about 10 and a half, and then they separated.
And was that a particularly difficult time for you, or?
It came as a surprise. Yeah, it came as a surprise. And I remember I went to a secondary school, sort of like comprehensive school, a year early, because I either had to go to a primary school just for a year, or kind of go up to the secondary school.
I see.
So I missed out a lot of stuff, and that's what I did. And I was the only kid in the class with, separated parents.
Really?
Which I think, if you think now,
oh God,
the kind of different blended families and what we have is much more diverse. But that's quite
interesting.
Interesting. But no, it was a real. It was, it was a difficult time.
What do you remember of life before that age of 10?
Before then, kind of like, I think a kind of real sort of like idyllic, lovely childhood of growing up in the countryside, growing up in the sea, having really great grandparents. I was very well behaved, I think, and conscientious.
Yeah. Was that a natural thing or a parental, you must be this way?
I think that was a natural thing. And,
Yeah.
learning was really interesting. The comprehensive school was a bit rough. And I had unfortunate uniform. I had the uniform that didn't quite fit.
I see.
And I had a briefcase. I had this brown vinyl briefcase.
Oh, God.
And there was so much teasing.
Why the briefcase?
I have no idea. And I used to cycle to school, so I had to try and get this thing on the back of the bike and then cycle to school.
Yeah.
And it was really impractical for your books and stuff. Yeah, but no, it made me stick out. Yeah.
I see.
So, I used to be called Keeny, like you're really super keen.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the first couple of years
so
was
mean.
sort of a bit tough, yeah.
Did it ever occur to you to get rid of the briefcase? Or
No.
was it just kind of like, this is what I wear to school?
Yeah, I do what I'm told.
I do what I'm told, yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
that is.
And how would you respond to the comments of being a keener or...
Oh, it's upsetting. Your briefcase,
Yeah.
when somebody gets your briefcase
and
throws it around the classroom, and you go to something, they throw it back, it's just really frustrating. Yeah. And there were some mean girls. When I wasn't cycling, there were some mean girls on the bus, but there were mean girls everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just a new thing. They've been there forever, haven't they? Yeah.
They really
So
have.
it was upsetting, and I think it just took me a while then to sort of find good friends, and then you're in your own little niche, and
and that
you
kind
grow
of,
a voice, and you have more, and then get more agency, thinking I'm not going to wear that, or you roll up your skirt so it's not at a dodgy length.
Yeah.
It's
that. I know, it's interesting. I suppose when you're kind of that like 10, 11, 12 age, for people who have been conscientious their entire lives and been rule followers their entire lives, I feel like they have a transition-ish around that time where they start to, like you said, roll up the skirt, maybe start talking back a little bit more. But it's very gradual, and there's some kids who just have always been pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
And we'll always push the boundaries. And it's weird to kind of integrate yourself when you're not like that.
Yeah.
Into that environment. And I suppose we can talk about your picture now as well.
Yeah, of course,
so
yeah.
if you'd like, you can pop it off the wall. You can just, it's just on a
Okay.
pin there. You can just grab it. But you said you're about 12 in this photo?
Yeah, I thought I was about 10. I thought this was the summer we moved. Mum and Dad split up, and we moved to, as you can see, it's very rural, so there's the garden.
It looks lovely.
I'm standing with my bowl head haircut, clutching my sweep. So Sooty and Sweep were a big glove puppet thing.
Okay.
You have to trust me on this, in the 70s.
I know, I trust you, yes.
And Sweep was a fixture since I was about 6 months old. And I've got 4 of these glove puppets.
Yeah.
And I'm there kind of in my red t-shirt with the patches. But I realise I'm 12 and I look like I'm a really, really young.
You do.
A young 12.
A young 12.
Yeah.
But you look very sweet. And tell me about that toy. So is that something that you carried around a lot when you were young? Was it something you slept with?
Yeah, I had a Sweep from... So Sweep's... So he's a dog. And Sooty, who he lives with...
Yes.
No, this is in the Sooty show.
Yes.
It's going to be so embarrassing listening back to this. Sooty is a bear who's like kind of orange, and Sooty's really good.
Okay.
Sweep is the naughty one.
Ah, I
So
see.
so it's interesting, being kind of like, the good girl, isn't it? That was always kind of drawn to Sweep. So I had one since I was about 6 months. And there's lots of photographs, going through the years of holding this Sweep, who was my little companion, yeah.
No. Do you still have them?
They are under the bed. There's all 4 of them, yeah.
Wow. Tell me about your ideas for the future when you were a kid. Did you have any idea what you wanted to be when you grew up?
My mum made me, she was quite creative, and she made me this really lovely nurse's outfit. And I had a white nurse's bag, like a toy bag, nurse's case, which had a stethoscope, and pretend, a few plasters and a pretend thermometer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was a thing.
Okay. That was one
and
thing.
I like doing that.
Yeah.
And then also, I used to draw a lot. And my dad sold lots of greeting cards and things. And I remember making these series of like pop-up cards with animals on. And when one of the reps came in, there's cards, Dad said, why don't you show him your stuff? Oh. And I did, and he really liked, well, of course, you're 7 or 8, so of course they're going to say it's good, aren't they? And so, doing something artistic, drawing, going, I kind of wanted to do something creative. I always loved art. So that was the other thing. What I wanted to do, I remember when I did A-level art, some of my peers were going to art school, and I thought, this is what I really want to do. The feeling about nursing had gone, it sort of faded, and I thought, I really want to do this. But I didn't feel that I could say, this is what I want to do. And nobody ever asked me, what are you interested in? What are you going to do, Emma? And so I kind of fell into, because my dad had a shop, doing something retail. And then the feeling about nursing came back. And I thought, right, I'm going to do that. And I went to do my nurse training in Bath. And the kind of the drawing and the art stuff fell away.
How do you feel about that?
It's a regret.
Yeah.
I remember bringing home, I think it's all online now, but the kind of like the university thick book of all the courses in the kingdom.
Yes.
And kind of putting it between my dad and my stepmum, because I was there for the weekend, and then taking it with me then to my mum's, because I was seeing them her the weekend. And nobody saying like, what is this? Oh, this is interesting. What do you want to do? Which I just find mind-boggling now. Yeah. So I just had to find my own path.
Why do you think they didn't ask you?
I have no idea. I think just they were
Do you think they
busy people. I don't know. Yeah.
Huh.
It would have been nice to have been asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been nice. Did you and your parents have like a very open relationship? Like, did you talk a lot? Did you?
No. My dad, I think, I know this isn't a therapy session, but they weren't emotionally available, I think, for different reasons.
I see.
My mum had OCD, which I only realised when I did my mental health nurse training. I thought, oh, that's what it is. Because people didn't talk about mental health.
No, they didn't.
Anything, no.
So she had no idea then, I'm assuming.
Well,
or did she know?
She did. I mean, she did because she sought, I suppose you say, treatment or help at the time that I found out kind of like latterly.
I see.
In my 20s.
I see. You always find out later in life, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it was no, we didn't talk about kind of like, feelings, or it's all everything's quite surface level with mum and dad. Yeah.
I see.
So maybe that's why the glove puppet got all the good conversations.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Did your mother's OCD like impact you at all growing up, or was it? I suppose I know the answer because I have OCD and I know that it impacts people. So I suppose, how did it impact you?
Looking back while they were together, there were things that she did, and I think it was her way of trying to kind of having control. But when they separated, she got depressed, and she had a thing about, I'm still not sure if it's kind of cleanliness or contamination.
Okay.
But I used to have to come home every day from school, and I would have to stand on the mat, and I'd have to take off my shoes in a certain way, and I'd have to clean them and then hoover, and then kind of go and sort of sit on a chair and have my squash and my one biscuit, and then I had to do this. It was all very kind of prescriptive. And we never ate together. And it was only when I was a lot older, I thought, isn't that weird? And I think a friend said, what, you never ate, you didn't eat together? I said, no.
You didn't say anything back to her, I suppose, when she said you have to do this.
I just kind of went along. I knew that was what was expected, and I went along with it. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I couldn't get my clothes dirty.
Okay.
which is when you're living in a muddy
country
village, country, that's quite difficult, yeah.
That must have been hard.
It was, yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
It was. What my dad, I mean, my stepmother, when I used to go to my dad and stepmother every weekend, I think they realised something was going on because I wouldn't kind of muck in with I had a step brother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepmother told my dad, say, you know, go and get her some clothes.
I see.
And took me to the one trendy kind of like jeans shop, and I had some like proper, so I had 2 separate wardrobes.
Interesting.
So when the time came to come back from Dad's, who I visit every weekend, to come to home, you know, I would change and then get my other stuff on and then go home. And then there'd be this whole thing when I got back to my mum's about what she did with the clothes, because I think they had to go into the wash, and then there was more hoovering.
I'm sure there was, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel so sorry for my mum, what she went through, because she never got proper therapy or treatment. And the medication they gave you at those times, you know, meds were benzodiazepines. Yeah, and she was prescribed Ativan, which is very addictive. Yeah, and she managed to get herself off that, which is fantastic. And it's only sort of in my later 20s that we had these conversations. Yeah. And I really thought, you know, this was so hard for you, being a single parent, suddenly having, you know, life one way, and then, you know, the rug taken out from under you. Yeah. And then bringing up this girl who was initially compliant and then saying, no, I don't want to do that.
Well, you had this like taste of freedom at your dad's house. It's like you were living 2 completely different lives. Man. And then you went off to nursing. Yeah. You started the nursing.
I had about 18 months working in the body shop.
Okay.
I mean, that was freedom. I lived in the YMCA, my own room. I had a little sink. I had a little sink in the shed bathroom, a little sink in the corner. Yeah. You could keep your milk on the windowsill outside.
Wow.
Used to boil cans of stuff in my kettle. That's had my stereo, get tape. It was good.
You were just living.
I loved it, living the life. Yeah, and then the feeling about nursing came out. I thought, why not? Let's go for it.
And you said the feeling about nursing. What feeling was it?
That what I want to do, but and I just thought, why not?
Yeah. What was the drive though? Did you want to help people? Did you want to learn things?
And in the interview, you say, why do you want to be a nurse? And it sounds so trite, it's because I want to help people. But that was you know, the absolute truth. Thinking, you know, I can, you know, I could do this.
And did you do your nursing scheme in Bath as well?
Yep.
Yeah. So then were you still living at the YMCA? Or
no, that was, you lived on site.
Okay.
So it was like a school of nursing. This is how kind of most nurses, most places had like nursing schools, colleges, which were kind of on campus, I suppose, on site.
I see.
So you'd have your accommodation, you'd all be in together in flats, and you would go to the School of Nursing and you would have 2 weeks saying, you know, this is how you look after a patient with respiratory problems. You'd learn about it all, and then you'd go on the ward and do it. And then you come back and kind of learn about the next thing. My first ward was oncology ward.
Okay.
I was smoking nearly 20 fags a day. So breathing this after the coffee break, not thinking about it over your patients, not a good look.
Oh, God.
All nurses smoke then.
Yeah.
But oncology, they start you off with, you know, making a bed, because you've learnt how to make a bed.
Okay.
Yeah. And getting it how kind of like the sister wants it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, doing the obs, that was a big thing to do, doing temperatures and pulses and stuff, you know, learning how to wash a patient. I mean, what nursing is now has changed through I hate to say it, through the decade, you know, because I trained a long time ago, and it was very much, it felt like a mixture between kind of like art and science, really caring for, you know, you had your patient and you would do everything for them. Yes. And you would as a nurse. Yes. And the kind of jobs wouldn't be delegated to someone else. So you really knew your patients, you did everything for them that they needed. And of course there were no computers.
Correct.
Yeah, so there's nothing, and as a nurse, nurses didn't take bloods. Okay. Didn't give antibiotics, rarely gave antibiotics. You know, there's so much more responsibility now put on them. You know, they are junior doctors.
Yeah.
but it was very different. But it was much more, I think, holistic, and I'm sure you had much more time.
I see.
Than nurses do now.
And then, so from my research, you did 2 years of general nursing.
3 years, 3 months.
3 years, 3 months.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then you went into mental health specifically. Yeah. So what made you switch to mental health?
Oh, this is going to sound bad, Hannah.
Oh, no.
But no, I mean, I think I'd always been interested in psychology without really able to name it.
Yeah, yeah.
And in your second year of nurse training, you do your specialities, one of which is psychiatry.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know that psychiatric nursing, as it was called then, I'm going to use some kind of old-fashioned terms, I don't want to offend anyone, but psychiatric nursing was a very unsexy option, but I didn't realise it was an option. Mm. But you go and do this 6 weeks or 8 weeks placement, and it was in this old institution, and you go and stay there and live there, and it had loads and loads of wards. It had been there since the 19th century.
Wow.
It had a ballroom where patients would go on Saturday night and go to the ballroom. It was virtually sort of self-sufficient. It had lots of
it's like a little village,
like a small holding. It was really
interesting.
Interesting, that model, when you look at sort of the history of mental health.
Yes.
So you pitch up for this with your friends. There's all these boys.
Oh.
There's a social club on site that sells even cheaper cider and lager, and they've got a jukebox.
Oh, okay. So this was
strategic. That was a slight law.
Yeah.
But on the ward, it was amazing to be able to have the time to sit down and speak with somebody and just talk with somebody.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And use the word patients because they were called patients. So talk with your patients and just get to know them and have a conversation and feel, and it was absolutely legitimate, and being told, we want you to do this. We want you to have conversations and talk with people. Yeah. This is really important.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it and found it fascinating and found people's stories fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as I said, it was fantastic to get to know people and find out about them and their stories and help and try and, I suppose, help them in a different way, in a talking kind of way. So that was a great experience. So I thought, wow, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Went back to the Bath School of Nursing saying, I want to switch courses. Said, really sorry, Emma, you can't. You're going to have to finish the general, and then you can do another 18 months, then in training, and then you've got kind of both qualifications, and that's it. So that's what I did.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness. And what was your first actual position?
I wanted to be a CPN, community psychiatric nurse, because I thought this is brilliant. It's helping people stay well. Yeah. Again, it's very kind of quite holistic role, preventing them from relapse, from going back into hospital. That's what I want to do. To do that, you had to almost like make your bones and go to the acute sort of like psychiatric mental health facility.
I see.
So I was a staff nurse on acute mental health ward in Bath. And I did that for about 18 months and then managed to get a secondment in the community.
Yeah.
And then kind of went from there and then was in the community ever since, because that job was so tough.
Yeah.
But I knew where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And
so you saw the path.
But I knew I had to do it. I had to get that experience on my CV to then get in the community where I'd have so much more autonomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being in an acute psychiatric ward as the nurse, is it like almost like a different world when you're inside there? Like, does it feel like a different reality?
Versus?
Just from what I understand about that type of environment, it's people are not well.
No.
And how do you stay sane in that environment, I suppose is what I'm asking.
As a young you know, as a young, newly qualified staff nurse, it was quite scary at times, and challenging, threatening behaviour. But it is, again, I suppose, a ward environment. It very easily becomes its own kind of like little institution, because you've got, you know, the patients, the different group dynamics that go on, people at various stages of recovery or being so unwell, people that are risky, you know, harm, risk to themselves. Some people are on a section of the Mental Health Act. They're on a section where they, you know, have to have treatment. They can't say no to medication. So it's very, you know, there's lots of elements to it, and you know, and then you've got the staff.
Yeah, who have, I'm sure, you know, depending how long you've been there for, I feel like there'd be a lot of preconceived notions. You know, you're this fresh face coming in.
And this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there were some fantastic nurses as well, and really, really good senior staff nurses that, you know, really took me under their wing. And there was a fabulous sister who was so calm, which is what you wanted. Because I remember feeling it was quite stressful, thinking, I hope it's going to be all right. I hope, you know, but I just knew I had to power on through and have this experience to then get in the community.
What do you think you took? Like, what was the big lesson you took from that experience when you got moved into the community?
I suppose my own kind of resilience, but it's very useful to see, I suppose, mental health, all the different kind of disorders kind of at their worst, and then know where people are at, so you can kind of maybe spot the signs. Obviously, you know, everybody has different, you know, we all have, when we get stressed, we all manifest, and we all have different signs of that, don't we? Different presentations. But there was such a variety of issues and problems that people had, some very, very sad stuff. I suppose it's getting that wealth of experience that then was good grounding. Yeah. I don't think dealing with somebody setting multiple fires to something in the night, one night, did me a lot of good. But I never counted that in the community. Yeah.
No. Oh gosh. But I suppose like being in an acute environment is beneficial, because then you get to see, like you said, the extremes of situations. You can kind of almost flag people who are going down that route and get them the help that they need. Did you ever, specifically when you were working in the community, did you ever feel like you didn't have the power to force someone to get the help that they needed? And I'm using air quotes again because in many cases you can't force someone to go and get help. But were there moments where you saw the path that someone was going to go down and they were refusing to get the help they needed? Yeah,
I mean, I worked as a community psychiatric nurse for I think 20 odd years in different settings. I think it's when somebody gets to the point perhaps where they lack insight. So whether they're so depressed that they realise they're not really able to take care of themselves, or if somebody's bipolar and you can see them going, you know, they're getting high, but it feels so good, but I don't want to stop it because this is good and I'm all right and I'm going to be okay. Somebody with some kind of sort of psychosis is perhaps starting to lose insight. So that's where building the relationship with your patients is really, really important. You know, as their nurse, I was so privileged to be working in the community where we weren't fighting fires like the teams are now. And not everybody is super risky. You know, you had a caseload of patients, they'd had a long mental health history, and you were trying to live their, what's the saying, you know, live their best lives, but kind of, you know, optimize their well-being. It sounds very sort of like trite sayings, but, you know, helping them in every aspect of their lives. Part of that was kind of like medication, a lot of obviously monitoring, but building that relationship, so if there was a wobble, you could deal with it, and they would trust you to say, do you think this is happening again? Yeah.
It's funny how things change.
Yeah, mental health services is so under-resourced, as the NHS, but it's heartbreaking, because I think it was a demanding job then, but it's a really, really tough job now, because it's just people they're just able to deal with people in crisis. You want to prevent somebody from getting to that point.
Yeah.
And I was very privileged to work in a time where you could. I wasn't doing sort of therapy as such. That kind of came along later.
Yeah.
But it was terrific. I loved it.
Tell me about you working with, was it the Royal Air Force?
With the Army?
With the Army.
With the Army,
with the
right,
Army.
okay.
Yes, tell me about the Army.
So that came up. That was kind of seeking an adventure.
Okay.
I was early 30s. I'd got a promotion, but it was to a team that was an hour and a half drive away.
Yeah, no.
So 3 hours every day. I had a mortgage. It was all quite hard. And I remember one evening, sat in my little garden with the Nursing Times paper magazine with the ads, and it was like, it came out, come to Germany, work with the Army.
Ooh.
I must say, I'd been single for several years.
Okay.
And I thought, and I thought, right, this is an adventure. This is not going to change. You have to instigate the change if you want change in your life.
I see.
So that's what I did. So I worked with the Army as a civilian, as a community psychiatric nurse, up in garrison between Hamburg and Hanover.
Yeah.
And again, in another institution.
And you were working with soldiers.
Yeah.
That must have been quite confronting.
Really interesting. Sort of, soldiers from, so, you had the very kind of like quite young, new recruits, sort of like late teens.
Yeah.
And then people just about to come out, who'd they'd been in like the Northern Ireland conflict, lots of trauma. So that was the sort of thing that I saw, which was kind of new to, which I gained experience in. But there's also the run-of-the-mill stuff. There was depression. There was a lot of alcohol misuse, which the culture was that you have a drink, crack on, get drunk with your mates. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Were people open to therapy at the time? Like, were people... Because I'm just thinking, like, masculine British soldiers, having a drink, shoving down all their feelings. I can't imagine that they would be open to that. Am I
And being
wrong?
female.
Yeah, and being female.
And being female.
Was it a challenge?
It was, and again, they were told. I mean, it wasn't. You weren't seeing somebody in their own home. They would come to your office in their uniform,
so and they can't separate themselves from that.
And they would want to call you mom, because you had as a civilian, you had this thing called equivalent military rank of a captain. So, if somebody was a corporal, someone like say a squaddy, they would they would be expected to call somebody who was a captain or sergeant or anyone above them, basically kind of like sir or ma'am. So that was initially that was a barrier to get over, and you would be in an office with the army furniture. Yeah, and also the confidentiality was quite interesting.
Okay, interesting.
So confidentiality was slightly different, whereas somebody's sort of commander could request information or report about that soldier.
Wow.
So you had to sort of, it was a definite balance. I really, keeping that person's confidentiality was so important. Obviously, if somebody disclosed substance misuse, then there would be an obligation or self-harm, but there were kind of different rules within rules, and a very different culture, army culture. I would keep my notes quite kind of broad brushstrokes.
I see, yeah.
Because if you think I'm going to go and tell your boss details about you, your relationships, your sexuality, this thing that, the trauma, waking up with nightmares, whatever, you're not going to tell me anything.
No.
So again, I think it was more of a challenge to kind of get people to trust me.
That you weren't going to...
Yeah. And I think also being female, being seen as credible.
I see.
Being seen as a professional.
Yeah. Was it weird being in that environment and then leaving and coming back to the real world?
It wasn't, because I went on to Cyprus.
Okay. And Cyprus
for about a year.
Okay.
So I got married, went to Cyprus for a year. It was meant to be 2 years. That was great fun, but there was very little work for women there. So suddenly I was a dependent. So that was your title. So if you're a wife of somebody in the army, which I suddenly became, then you're called dependent.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And did you?
And the idea is you sit around, or your mum to
and,
yeah.
And you seem to have a bit of. I see a bit of discontentment with that.
It's the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
A dependent.
A dependent. It sounds like a child.
Doesn't it?
It sounds like you're a child to them. And like your livelihood is dependent on them being there.
Which you are. I mean, I was lucky to pick up some voluntary work in a local school.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. But it's difficult. I think that may have been paid like sort of part-time, but that took a while to get.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of, if you haven't got children, which I haven't had children, you're just sort of
floating along,
kicking your heels. I think probably I used to do a little bit of running and stuff.
Yeah.
And sit in the sun and then, drink gin. Yeah.
So you spent some time with the army. You're now living in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
What happens after Cyprus? You come home after a year?
Wife of my then husband, got promoted and brought back.
Okay.
Because he got a promotion. So we're in Wiltshire. He's got several years to see out before he can sort of retire from the army at 40. And so I got a job again as a community psychiatric nurse with a team in Andover, which was brilliant. I was there for 5 years. And that's where the opportunity to do my CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy course, came along. Because there was lots of funding for therapists, people to be trained as therapists in a community psychiatric team. There'd be one psychologist, and I was quite friendly with the psychologist. I was really interested in the work that she did. And a drug company sponsored the team, paid for my course in Southampton. So that was a year, kind of 1 day a week to do. And I was just in the right place at the right time.
I always had a very, the taboo with mental health. I was very, I just had, a negative perception of it, probably because I was suffering and didn't want to admit it to anyone. During that time, late 1990s, early 2000s, kind of the 2006 area, was it accepted, mental health?
No, big stigma.
Yeah.
Big stigma. The whole subject about mental health was very, still incredibly stigmatized. And it's only in recent years, isn't it? We've talked about, not acknowledging that we have a mental health like we have a physical health.
Yeah.
And, at least 1 in 4 of us are going to have some sort of mental health problem in our lives, which is going to require treatment. Yeah. It's part of our well-being. Things don't chop or cut off at the neck, do they? Yeah.
They don't, unfortunately. No. Though my therapist always tells me that I am chopped off at the neck.
Okay.
Because, the connection to my body is just not there. But that's a whole other thing. CBT.
Yeah.
Cognitive behavioral
therapy, yeah.
How did this up your game, I suppose, as a therapist at the time? How did this increase your knowledge and your ability to help people?
It was a evidence-based therapy that worked, rather than some more of a kind of, I suppose, interpersonal therapy, which is very which can be incredibly valuable and important. It was less psychodynamic. That was kind of going out of favour.
Okay, I see.
And CBT was sort of hailed as this big thing. This is the thing. It's evidence-based. It works. We've got to train sort of everyone. And it gave me, I think, more. And it doesn't work for everyone, but it is, it is very credible and effective for lots of people. And it enabled me, I think, to that segue, because, again, perhaps looking back, thinking, if I'd had the choice or known about it, because my cousin's a psychologist, I maybe, that's perhaps something I could have done.
Okay, I see.
And I always feel like mental health nurses are playing catch up to psychologists. It's interesting. Psychologists have been really good about protecting what they do, more so than kind of mental health nurses.
Okay.
But it enabled me to then be somebody within our team, that the psychologist, I'd get supervision from her. She'd say, I've seen somebody really interesting, I think it'd be good for you, Emma.
Okay.
And doing much more psychological based work. So whether it's, I remember a lovely lady that had these terrible intrusive voices, doing stuff with her voices. That was something I was particularly interested in. So there's lots of psychosis. I met the first people with, I can say patients, because we call them patients, not clients, with OCD. That was fascinating, and getting, weekly sort of guidance from the psychologist about, this is what I'm doing, this is what I think I'm going to do, is this okay?
Yeah.
So it really helped develop my skill set.
Yes.
In something that was kind of tangible.
Yeah.
Rather than, I think this is okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing the right thing.
It's interesting you say about like the psychodynamic versus the CBT therapy. I think, just from my brief knowledge and experience receiving both, it feels like the CBT, like I actually didn't really like it, but from what I could appreciate that, like, there's more of like a every week you're getting further in, if that makes sense. Like, I suppose, I don't know, it just feels like there's more of like a direct goal.
Yeah, it's more prescriptive, isn't it? It's more prescriptive.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's perhaps where the kind of art comes in. And somebody, if you can get a therapist who, and again, I mean, if you on the NHS, it's very time limited. They have very little sessions.
Yeah.
But again, somebody that perhaps can maybe sit in both camps sometimes, because one of the criticisms of CBT has been very kind of cold. Okay, so what of your, let's do the assessment questionnaire. Okay, this is this week. You do one every week. This is where you are. Okay, so bring your thought diary in. What's this? Da-da. Okay, what are you going to do for next week? Off you go.
Yeah.
That's not really good CBT. It's, the tenet of it, the really foundation of it is collaborative. And that's what I really love about it, is the therapy. It's collaborative. I'm not the expert. We're on this journey together. We're going to find stuff out.
Yeah.
And something like OCD, I would say, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not just your OCD. There's life going on as well. And that's going to play in to how you're feeling, what you're experiencing.
That's an interesting way to put it. I definitely felt like it was very, very prescriptive for me, which is why...
I'm sorry you had that experience. Yeah, it puts so many people off. Yeah. And there are lots of therapists, like, there's good and bad everywhere, isn't there?
There is.
And not good, not so good, yeah.
But also, I think I was in a point in my life where I was, like, I wanted to... Because the thing with CBT is, like you said, it's collaborative. So the patient, again, air quotes, is having to do work themselves outside of that 1 hour. And I didn't like that. I was like, the moment I leave, I want to forget that you existed, and I don't want to do anything. I don't want to think about it, and then next week I'll come back, and that doesn't work.
No.
So I've also done ERP. I've done...
Have you? Yeah?
I have.
How was that?
I
So again, there's ERP and ERP.
thing.
Yeah.
I think.
So it's called exposure response prevention, which is one of the sort of, the sort of gold standards. Is a really important part of CBT for OCD. Just to say what ERP is, yeah.
And I just didn't vibe with the woman who was doing it. I found her very strange, but I very much felt like I had to keep going because there was the parental pressure of like, you must get help. And now I'm doing therapy that is mainly just psychodynamic. And it's actually been really helpful. I'm not sure. I think it's helped my OCD a little bit, but I'm also on medication, and it's gotten to the point with my OCD that it's like I've kind of accepted it as part of my life.
Okay.
Which is, I'm sure some could argue that is not positive. And I'm sure Clay could argue that that's not positive because, there are impacts.
I'm looking at Clay.
And we're all looking at Clay.
Yeah.
There are impacts with our relationship.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think it puts a lot of stress on him. I know it puts a lot of stress on him. Puts a lot of stress on my family. Like, I'm moving back in with my family, and I know that it's going to be probably immediately a huge factor.
And stress on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know all this stuff, and you're dealing with this thing in your head that's telling you something, yeah?
Yeah. But I suppose before because I'm sure we could dive into my entire life, but what made you interested in OCD? You had the experience with people with psychosis, with bipolar disorder. What attracted you specifically to OCD?
I mean, if we were in a psychodynamic session, you would say, well, it's because, you couldn't help your mum. This is what's been, so this is your way of kind of, righting the wrong.
I see. And do you believe that?
There must be, it's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's too much of a coincidence. And it's interesting, and I've had therapy myself, so, looked at lots of stuff about this. But it always fascinated. The first two kind of, when I was a community psychiatric nurse, the first few people I came across with it, I found it fascinating. And I don't know why, there was something about it, and then be able to sort of make a difference with the ERP quite quickly. That was amazing. And I found when I sort of moved here to Hove, and I was still working in the NHS just before I retired, because when you went into psychiatric nursing years ago, it was such an unpopular and sexy choice. I think they thought you were either going to go sort of like mad yourself, or just going to burn out. So we'll retire you early.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So I got the pension.
Yeah, lovely.
And so then, but I've been growing up my sort of like private practice alongside, very sort of like gently, and then finding. My caseload was full, and I had people coming to see me with OCD, and I was turning them down. I had to turn them away because my caseload was full. And I think it was my lovely husband that said to me, "Why don't you specialise in this, Emma? Because you seem like you're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And you're very passionate about it, and your eyes light up when you talk about it. So why don't you?" And I'm thinking, oh no, I couldn't do that.
Couldn't possibly.
Couldn't do that. No, not worthy.
Yeah. Me?
No, I know
I'm
nothing.
Independent.
I know nothing. Different husband.
Oh,
okay. No, this is a good husband. Yeah.
Good husband. Good.
And so I did.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. And it's such a privilege working with my clients. Basically, the kind of OCD, no matter what your theme is the same. The model is the same, what's going on.
Yeah.
We kind of unpack this and get this formulation and then work out, well, what do you want to do about it? Where do you want to get to? And I love it, but it's just, that the mind is so interesting. Thoughts.
Yeah.
This thing about, a thought isn't, I am not my thoughts. I can have a thought, you can have the same thought, and it may make me feel really anxious, uncomfortable, and you'll be thinking, it's funny, it's just a weird thought. Yeah. I just think it's incredible that the brain does that to some people.
Yeah.
We all get weird and wonderful thoughts,
But some people just
and harmful
stick.
and sexist and all kinds of strange thoughts. And most of the time it just floats on by and we think, oh, that's a funny thought. It doesn't make it true, doesn't say anything about us. But with OCD, some thoughts get stuck. You say, oh, what's the meaning of this? Oh my goodness, this means this, and this could happen, and this could happen. You know, and it makes people so distressed. And it's fabulous working with a client and then, you know, helping them get to the point where thinking, it's okay, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't need to do this stuff. Doing these rituals doesn't make it better.
Is it a lifelong condition, do you think?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Like, can you be cured? Because it's all in your brain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the way that you think.
You learn, I think you learn there is always hope, and you learn to manage it, and you learn to dial down. If you think about it kind of like a radio, and the radio's on really loud, that dial goes down. Yeah. And the thoughts or the images, whatever, may still pop in your mind, but they don't have that that anxiety and makes it look, oh my goodness, I've got to do something about this. This is terrible. This is awful. This has got big time consequences. I need to make myself feel better. So it's just, you know, you may notice, this is where we want to get to for most people, you know, where you may notice that things are coming in, but you're not reacting to them. So there's an acceptance. Oh, that's just a thought. Yeah. That's one of my OCD thoughts. Yeah. Oh, that's an OCD urge. I don't need to do that. You know, in times of stress or difficulty, that's when you perhaps see somebody possibly, you know, have a relapse, or if they're not taking care of themselves particularly well. But everyone's different. Yeah. You know, we all have, talking about mental health, Hannah, you know, we all, like, you know, I'm a runner, amateur runner, you know, and I injured my knee several years ago. And so that's a niggle, you know, that's a little vulnerability there. Yeah. So I think like physical vulnerabilities we have, or like little trigger points, psychologically we all have them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like things to kind of bring you back almost to a moment and
or under enough stress, isn't it? You know, the thing, you know, you can be more vulnerable to perhaps saying, oh, you know, having a few kind of spiky thoughts again. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, what good therapy does is equip you with the tools to say, hi OCD, you're in a different guise, but I know you. Okay, I know what to do. I know how to deal with it.
When you switched to specifically focusing on OCD, was your mum around to see that?
Sadly not.
No.
No, she died suddenly nearly 7 years ago. So no, she wasn't.
Did you express an interest to her about wanting to?
Oh yeah,
go into
she
OCD?
knew I was really interested. Yeah.
Did she have anything to say?
She still had quite a regimented life.
Yeah.
It was in her own kind of like comfort circle. Yeah. But she was I know she was really proud of what I did. Yeah. Of you know, my career and kind of who I'd become. Yeah. As a person. And she used to regularly express regret and guilt, saying, you know, I'm really sorry for how I was all those years. And I said, you know, that's okay, it's all right. Yeah. You weren't, you know, not to blame. Yeah.
Well, I hope your mum found some peace. Do you think she did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had fun.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Do you think it'd be interesting for people to hear what the first 15 minutes of a session sounds like?
Oh, okay. So the first sort of 15 minutes of the session is really helping someone feel comfortable in this strange new setting. Yeah. And just kind of setting out the kind of ground rules and confidentiality. Yeah. And before we start saying, is there anything you want to ask me? Because, you know, as a therapist, I'm asking you so many questions, really personal, deep diving stuff, and you know nothing about me. And I'm not one of those therapists that kind of, you know, it's a stone wall. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. So I think that's important, you know, to get on the kind of, you know, this is collaborative. Yeah. And then it's about trying to understand, saying, well, what brings you here today? What is the problem? What are the symptoms you're experiencing? And it's more kind of in the here and now rather than, where it slightly varies from other therapies about going straight back to kind of like somebody's history. You do get a bit of history, but you're more concerned in what's happening now, because you want to kind of understand the symptoms. And then I'll explain to you the model.
Okay.
And I've got a fabulous illustration of the OCD model on my wall, which is by a lady called Laura OCD Doodles. That's her.
I'll have to look that up.
That's her Instagram handle.
Okay.
And she does she has OCD herself. And I think she's now in collaboration with No OCD, American therapy company. Yeah. And she does lots and lots of illustrations about OCD, and I have the model, and I give you the model and look at and say, okay, right, let's try and work out what's going on. Tell me this is how I understand that. Having you told me what the problem is. And we're seeing kind of, does that fit? And then I explain the treatment. Because it's for you to decide, thinking, yeah, I'm up for this. No, I'm not. Or I am. Emma's not the right fit for me. You're saying, you've been a therapist before, you just couldn't get on with it. It's very important, isn't it? It's a really kind of personal relationship. And you've got to have that trust, because in the ERP, the exposure stuff, your head's saying, you've got to do this, or something bad will happen, or it doesn't feel right, or there's going to be some negative consequence. I'm saying to you, we're going to not do that thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I was saying, we're on a cliff, holding your hand. I'm saying, take a step off with me, Hannah. And you're saying, but there's fucking rocks down there, we'll die. I said, no, I've done this lots of times with people. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it's about getting that trust. And then explaining the therapy, saying, but we start at a really low level with ERP. We start, but let's get a list first of all the things that you do, all the compulsions, having explained kind of the 4 categories that they're in. Let's get this big list. And that would be your task, if you could and were willing, to do that between sessions.
Okay.
And also have a think about a label for your OCD. So I'm explaining the whole first session, really, not the 15 minutes.
That's okay.
But at 15 minutes, this is getting an idea of the problem. I want you to tell me, what's your experience? What happens? And giving you the acceptance. It's okay. Whatever you say to me, it's all right. I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Not to diminish your experience.
Yeah.
But whatever you say,
won't
I will not be shocked. Yeah.
And labels. Is that what you mean with like the pedophilia, OCD, and
no, a label, something to call your OCD. So when
you're talking about
this thing in your head, so it's almost like, so it's outside of you. So it's this thing. So it could be a character. I really love it. If somebody's kind of quite visual, saying, let's have a character.
Yeah.
And lots of my clients have got like a cartoon character. So something like Ursula the Sea, which you don't want nothing big and scary. So if you were a Harry Potter fan, you wouldn't have Lord Voldemort.
No.
But you might have a quirky teacher.
Okay.
Or Dobby.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, so if you can say, okay, that's my OCD, or say Dobby, is saying, no, wash your hands again. You need to wash your hands. It's really important. Or that's going to be contaminated. It's kind of say, okay, that's a Dobby thought.
Yeah.
And that labelling gives you a moment, a pause, to kind of not necessarily go with it. It helps you see it's kind of outside of yourself, which it can be really useful. So that's something I always get people to kind of have a think about. But it's about accepting, it's like, oh, hello, that thing's there. Hi, OCD, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to push you away, because there's a rebound effect with that. Yeah. Like, don't think about it. And I'm not going to draw you in and ruminate and get into it and get into a debate with you. But, okay, you're there. It's like, because your amygdala, your fight or flight thing is going crazy, saying, we've got to do something, and it feels like you have because you're feeling so anxious.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, it's okay, I've got it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because
I've gone off on a tangent.
No. With the thing on your shoulder, you're not necessarily making it bad. Like, you specifically said you don't want it to be a big, bad, scary character. No. You just want it to be like a neutral thing. Like, it's just something else. Yeah. It's just like another way of thinking. And I think often I have tried to paint it as like this bad thing, like this thing that's like it is a bad thing, I suppose. But I've often tried to paint it as like a bully or something. And
lots of the books say it is it is a bully in your head, isn't it? Yeah. But it's not necessarily having it as a monster. Some of the kind of children's OCD workbooks have it as a monster.
And
but
then
if
you're
you have
fearful
something,
of it.
fearful. But if you have something like, Inside Out 2, have you seen that?
I haven't, but I know it. Yeah.
But there's a character, the new character Inside Out 2 is Anxiety. She's brilliant, and she wears lots of orange. I love orange. But it's kind of like, the intention of the OCD is kind of, in a way, it's misguided to kind of keep you safe. But to keep you safe by doing lots of rituals, by avoiding something, by seeking lots of reassurance, by doing whatever your compulsions are. And it's kind of, the intention is to kind of, let's dampen this down, this feels terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like this little kind of thinking, scary thing. Be like a little minion on your shoulder or something like that, jumping up and down, squeaking.
When does OCD come about for people? When is it common for it to appear?
Okay. There's no one size sort of fits all, but it seems to be around maybe 8 to 12.
Yeah.
And I think there's quite a normal part of child development where you're suddenly not just aware of you and your world, but there are people outside of you and things can happen to you. And the concept of mortality, I always think that's really interesting. And I remember that as a kid, getting really worried about my mum or dad dying.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you think about it, you might check under the bed for monsters, or you might feel you've got to line your teddies up in a certain way, and you feel better. You get a sense of relief from that.
Yeah.
And most children kind of grow out of that.
Yeah.
But so maybe around that age, and it can come and go. Times of stress, so GCSEs, when there's exams, first few years of university, thinking, where there's lots of change.
Interesting you say the mortality thing. Because my very first thing was having to pray to God that, these people would be okay.
Yeah.
But like you said,
it's a really common thing,
It wasn't, I did not grow up religious, so it was I needed to put I felt like it would be my responsibility if something happened to them. And like you said with, the lining up of the teddy bears, once you line up the teddy bears, it's fine. And you can line up the teddy bears every night and it's fine.
Yeah.
But with OCD, suddenly lining up the teddy bears is not enough.
It's not enough, no. Because then your head will say, what if? Or it won't feel right. You won't get that click.
So it began with, mum, dad, brother. But then I was like, well, what if something happens to my friends? So then it would be an adding on list. And it would just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
And, when I was a child and this was going on, it was only ever happened at night. It never happened during the day. And then it started to seep into my day. And it has been there ever since. But it's...
it grows and mushrooms, doesn't it?
It really does.
And it's insidious. Because if you think about it, superstition is something that we don't question.
No.
What is the thing about, apart from maybe a paint pot could drop on your head, but walking under ladders? I mean, I didn't hear about 3 till I moved here. Something about it's unlucky to go over 3 drains.
Oh, don't tell me
Sorry,
that.
Sorry, okay.
I'm going to add another thing to my list.
No. But if you think about we have, I don't know if I have it in Canada, but saluting to magpies is a thing, yeah?
What kind of salute?
You got to salute to magpie.
Well, so I heard that it was, hello, Mr. Magpie, how's your wife and family? So now I have to do it every time. No, that's why I do that.
I know, it's mad.
Yes.
Or something terrible will happen.
Yes, that's why I do it.
But, yeah.
But I suppose with the superstition, it's you do the thing and the relief is gone.
But you do the thing because it's sort of like a narrative or something that you've inherited, you've grown up with.
Yeah.
And it's a thing you do, which you don't really question, but there's not the distress with it. And I think kind of OCD stuff is almost like there are really big bad consequences if I don't do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember bringing home some shoes, putting new shoes on the table in my granny's house, and her going, bad luck. New shoes on the table.
Interesting.
And I'm thinking, it almost makes you just want to do it. So I go against any of that. I just don't do any of it.
Oh, that must be
because that's magical thinking.
Nice.
It's magical thinking, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I've got a lot of superstitious behaviors. Yeah. We could
Sorry,
go
I won't say any more then. I don't want to make things
work. No, it's okay.
No.
We could go down a whole new path with that. But I suppose, because you did mention it at the beginning, art.
Yeah.
Is art still part of your life?
Well, so it is it is. As a very deliberate choice, when I retired from the NHS and I worked 3 days. So one of those days I went to the Brighton Met down the road and I did an introduction to art course because I'd always wanted to go to art school. And that was really good. And that's led me on to do kind of other bits of courses and start drawing again.
That's amazing.
And I would love to do some kind of illustration course or part-time degree. I want that college experience that I never had.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I love illustration. So I think it's come from drawing cards and stuff when I was little and characters.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's on the list.
It's on the list of things to do.
It's definitely on the list.
We've got the 3 half marathons to go. We've got illustrations. We've got helping people with OCD. You're a busy woman.
Yeah.
You've got it all.
And my sausage dog.
And your sausage dog. And your good husband.
Yeah, I'm a good husband. Yeah, the good husband. Yeah.
The good husband, yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Is there one last thing you'd like to leave with our listeners? Or one last thing that we can remember you by?
I don't think so. I really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much. It's been a really interesting process.
Well, I'm glad.
And I suppose if you want to do something, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Even if I do a degree in my 80s, I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they'll give you a discount.
Yeah.
Back home it's free if you're above a certain age. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. Look into that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be coming to Canada. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to ask you about the Cayman Islands. Oh, that's sad.
That's okay.
There's just too much to cover in your life.
4 years in the Cayman Islands, yeah.
Oh.
There's a whole sad story there. This is how, yeah.
Oh, is that the bad husband?
It ended, yeah.
Well, then we don't need to talk about that.
No.
We don't need no more airtime for the bad husband. Alrighties, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Please like, share, do all the things, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Lovely.
Cue music, thank you.
Yeah, fabulous. How do you feel?
That was really good. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
You make it very easy.
Good.
So, yeah.